If the Shield were to return to WWE, it would undoubtedly create a massive buzz and spark widespread excitement among fans, igniting discussions about what might unfold in the company. The Shield, consisting of Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose, now Jon Moxley, made an unforgettable impact on WWE during their original run, becoming one of the most formidable factions in professional wrestling history. Their association with each other was a hallmark of their time in WWE, and their individual successes since their separation have only elevated their status further. But what would happen if they reunited under WWE's banner? The Shield was a breath of fresh air in WWE, representing a more serious, calculated approach to wrestling. They brought with them a blend of raw intensity and tactical precision that fans had not seen in a faction for quite some time. When the Shield initially formed, they were viewed as a group united by a common purpose, and their goal was to dismantle authority in the WWE. They attacked their rivals at will, and their ambush-style assaults were often the talk of the WWE universe. The three members were not only successful in their matches, but they had incredible chemistry, and it became clear that the faction had the potential to be a dominant force in the company. At first, the WWE universe was unsure about the direction of the Shield. Their motivations were vague, and their allegiance seemed to lie more with their cause than with any particular superstar or championship. They were also mysterious, as they wore tactical vests and covered their faces with black masks, adding to the aura of intrigue surrounding them. Fans were eager to learn more about them, and as time went on, they proved to be a force to be reckoned with. They defeated top WWE superstars in high-profile matches, gaining more and more respect from fans and management alike. Their success in the ring was undeniable. They were strong in tag team competition. Each member held individual titles, and they were collectively involved in some of the most memorable moments of the time. Roman Reigns was built as the powerhouse, Seth Rollins as the high-flying technician, and Dean Ambrose as the unpredictable wild card. The dynamic between the three was unmatched. However, despite their overwhelming success, a breakup was on the horizon. The first subtle hints of tension within the group were present long before the actual dissolution, and fans began speculating about the possibility of a split. The Shield's cohesiveness began to unravel in subtle ways, with each member growing more focused on individual success. It was in early 2014 that the cracks in the faction's unity became more apparent. Seth Rollins, despite being one of the founding members of the Shield, began to show signs of wanting more. He was constantly trying to prove himself, seeking opportunities to assert his own identity within the group. The faction was undoubtedly successful as a unit, but Rollins' ambitions started to outgrow the confines of being just one part of a collective. His growing desire for individual success seemed to clash with the ideals of the faction, leading to his internal conflict. Despite his leadership qualities and incredible in-ring ability, Rollins always seemed to be the most eager for more. The other two members, Reigns and Ambrose, were not as visibly driven by personal ambition, which led to subtle resentment and jealousy between them. Although they had shared success and victories, their differing visions for the future of their careers started to create friction within the group. Roman Reigns, who had been portrayed as the powerhouse of the group, had long been earmarked for a future main event role in WWE. His intense demeanor and strong presence made him an obvious candidate for stardom, and WWE was already positioning him for a potential future championship run. As Reigns started to rise in prominence, there was a growing belief that he might need to break away from the group to achieve the full extent of his potential. However, Reigns was also a team player, and he had a strong connection with his Shield brothers. His desire to remain loyal to the faction, even while his own star was rising, created internal tension. It became clear that while Reigns could rise as a solo act, the group's future might be limited if they continued together. Dean Ambrose, the unpredictable and charismatic wild card of the Shield, was also a major factor in the breaking of the faction. Ambrose had always been portrayed as the most unpredictable member, with his offbeat, chaotic persona. Although Ambrose was seen as a fan favorite for his unique style, it was clear that he was ready to step out of the shadow of the Shield and forge his own path. Ambrose's desire for more attention and recognition became increasingly evident, especially after his solo success in WWE. His energy and eccentric personality made him a standout in his own right, and while he had the potential to be a future champion, staying within the confines of the Shield was limiting his ability to fully embrace his character's potential. The actual breakup came on June 2nd, 2014, during a match at WWE's Money in the Bank pay-per-view event, The Shield was embroiled in a heated feud with Evolution, one of WWE's most prestigious factions. The match was a culmination of months of build-up, and it would ultimately mark the end of The Shield's time as a group. After a hard-fought battle, Seth Rollins shockingly turned on his Shield brothers by attacking Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose with a steel chair. This betrayal left fans in disbelief, as Rollins had previously been portrayed as a loyal member of the Shield. Rollins' betrayal was not only a shocking moment for fans, but also a turning point in the careers of all three members. By turning on the Shield, Rollins set himself on a path toward individual success, eventually becoming a main event player in WWE. Reigns and Ambrose were left to fend for themselves, with Reigns continuing his rise toward a WWE Championship opportunity, while Ambrose began his own solo journey. The reasons behind Rollins' betrayal were explained by WWE in a storyline that revolved around Rollins wanting to seize the opportunity for personal gain. He believed that aligning with Triple H and the Authority would give him the resources and support to reach the top of WWE. The turn was framed as a strategic move, as Rollins sought to align himself with the most powerful figures in WWE at the time. For Roman Reigns, the breakup of the Shield allowed him to become a dominant force in WWE. Reigns was quickly positioned as a top star, and WWE began building him as the future face of the company. His first major push as a solo competitor came shortly after the Shield's breakup, with Reigns defeating several high-profile opponents in the months that followed. Despite criticism and mixed reactions from fans, Reigns continued to rise in prominence, eventually becoming a multiple-time WWE champion and solidifying his place at the top of the company. Dean Ambrose, on the other hand, found success in his own right. Although he was less polished than Reigns in the eyes of WWE management, Ambrose's unorthodox style and rebellious attitude endeared him to fans. He eventually captured the WWE World Heavyweight Championship in 2016, solidifying his place in the main event scene. Ambrose's career took a slightly different trajectory than his former Shield brothers, but he remained a popular and integral figure in WWE. In the end, the Shield's breakup was inevitable. Each member had their own unique ambitions and desires for their careers, and staying together as a group would have limited their individual growth. While the dissolution of the Shield was a sad moment for many fans who had come to love the faction, it ultimately allowed each member to shine in their own way. The breakup may have been the end of one of WWE's most dominant factions, but it marked the beginning of a new chapter for all three members, who would go on to leave their own legacies in WWE. In hindsight, the breakup of the Shield was one of the most significant moments in WWE's modern era. It served as a reminder of the unpredictable nature of professional wrestling and how factions, no matter how powerful, can be undone by personal ambition and the desire for individual success. The members of the Shield would all go on to achieve great things in WWE, but their time together as a faction will always be remembered as one of the most thrilling and impactful periods in wrestling history. While the Shield may no longer exist as a unit, the individual careers of Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose will forever be intertwined with the legacy they created together. The Shield's first incarnation as a faction debuted in 2012, and they immediately caught the attention of the WWE Universe. They were introduced as the mysterious and dominant force that would stand up against injustice in the WWE. Their debut was iconic, attacking legends like The Rock, John Cena, and Ryback. The group, which initially had no defined leader, created an aura of unpredictability, with each member adding a distinct personality to the collective. Roman Reigns, with his powerhouse and silent strength, Seth Rollins, a high flyer and technician, and Dean Ambrose, the unpredictable, brash brawler, created an unbeatable unit. The Shield's rise to prominence was not just about their intense matches and dominating performances, but also their chemistry as a unit. They seemed to be one of those rare factions where everything clicked perfectly, and the sum of their parts was greater than their individual contributions. Their quick rise to the top of WWE's main roster, including defeating the likes of Team Hell No, and Ryback at Survivor Series 2012 solidified them as a force to be reckoned with. They would go on to win multiple championships, including the WWE Tag Team Championship, WWE United States Championship, and eventually the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Each member of the group would become a world champion, but they remained connected through their bond as the Shield. When the faction split in 2014, it marked the beginning of new chapters for each member. Roman Reigns would go on to become the face of WWE, while Seth Rollins turned into a master strategist, even betraying his brothers to align with the Authority and becoming a two-time WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Dean Ambrose, later known as Jon Moxley, took a different route, embracing his wild side, which led to a successful run in WWE and later in All Elite Wrestling, AEW. While their individual paths diverged, the legacy of the Shield remained a touchstone for their careers. Their bond, while no longer in the spotlight as a faction, was undeniable, and fans have constantly speculated about the possibility of a reunion. The potential return of the Shield to WWE could play out in various exciting ways. Firstly, it could take the form of a full-blown faction reunion, where Reigns, Rollins, and Moxley rejoin forces, albeit with different motivations, and perhaps a more mature outlook on their shared history. This kind of reunion could introduce a sense of nostalgia for fans who fondly remember the trio's dominance. At the same time, it could open up the door to new dynamics, as each member has evolved since their initial split. Ultimately, the return of the Shield to WWE would serve as a reminder of just how much impact the faction had on the industry. Their blend of talent, charisma, and chemistry made them one of the greatest factions in wrestling history, and their reunion would not just be a nostalgic moment, it would be an opportunity to continue building upon their legacy. Whether they come back as a dominant faction once more, or as a trio that has matured and adapted to the current landscape of WWE, the Shield's return would undoubtedly be one of the most exciting and talked about events in recent WWE history.